Well, all right, people. So I want to do a video here because I heard Ric Flair was going to wrestle in his supposedly final wrestling match at the age of 73. Just a very sad story to hear all the way around that this is actually happening, that somebody actually is agreeing to put this on and put Ric Flair in a match like this. I mean, Ric Flair is obviously delusional to think that he should be in a wrestling ring with the health issues he's had. I mean, no 73-year-old should be in a wrestling ring, let alone with the problems that Ric Flair has had with his health, with his heart, and other, things that I'm sure he's gone through in his life. I mean, I heard he has a pacemaker in his heart. I mean, Triple H just said that that's one of the reasons he's retiring, and he's 50-some years old, that he has a pacemaker, and now Ric Flair is going to be wrestling. I mean, who agreed to this? Who is cheering Ric Flair on in this is I don't know, but it's just sad. Like I said, Ric Flair is delusional to be doing this. But, I mean, is his family stepping in and saying, no, don't do this? Are the promoters that are putting this event on stepping in and saying, no, don't do this? Obviously not. Just a sad situation. Not only for Ric Flair, but just for wrestling in general. To see a legend like this, that he's going to do something that is going to tarnish his legacy like this. I mean, even further than it's already been tarnished, with whether it's his run in TNA, that really tarnished that last match he had with Shawn Michaels. I mean, you look back to that match with Michaels at WrestleMania, 10 or 15 years ago. Probably more like 15 years ago. Ric Flair was an older man. I mean, he was in his 50s, I believe. In his probably mid-50s almost. But he still, had what it took to put on a good match. I mean, there's a lot of wrestlers that are older, that are in their 50s, that are clearly not what they used to be, but that they can get by if they're wrestling the right person. And Flair was currently that guy. He wasn't what he was, but he could definitely get by. Now it's like you're 70-some years old. I saw the video he put out with Jay Lethal. I mean, he looks so frail, and rightfully so. I mean, he's 73. I mean, he's old. He's an old person. I don't expect him to be in wrestling shape, but it's just a sad story to hear that this is happening. Like I said, sad for the business as a whole too. I mean, it was when Hulk Hogan, decided to come back, in 2011 versus Sting, a man that clearly should have not been in the ring, decides to come back and wrestle. All these people that are way past their primes, all these wrestlers that are way past their primes and decide to come back, it's embarrassing. And even when Steve Austin came back at WrestleMania, it was cool to see him back. And he definitely still had the physical capability to get in there and wrestle a match. But it's also it also ruins the legacy in a way. And it takes away from what we thought at the time was their final match. So even if these wrestlers still have some physical capabilities in the ring, it's still a question mark as to if it's good or not if they come back and, wrestle again. Because that does tarnish their past legacy. So this is just a sad situation altogether. Very sad to hear about this. And it's just sad in general with the whole wrestling business, that so many wrestlers come back 10, 20, 30 years past their primes and embarrass themselves. We've seen it with so many wrestlers, but I don't think we've ever seen it to an extent like this, where a big name, one of the biggest names in the wrestling business, is going to come back at the age of 73 with a pacemaker. Somebody who almost died a few years ago because he drank so much and fucked up his heart is going to come back and wrestle a match. Just a sad, sad situation. And I heard he might have done it with Steamboat, but Steamboat backed out because he actually has some sense and doesn't want to embarrass himself and tarnish his legacy and make a fool out of himself. And I heard Flair saying that he wants to do it because he wasn't happy with his last match, or his last run when he was 65. And that's what I don't get. And you heard Undertaker. I mean, Undertaker's a legend. And he was on the border there of kind of physically not having what it takes there at the in his last few years wrestling, to actually be should he have been in the ring? I don't know. But Undertaker said the same thing. Like, I wasn't happy with my last match. So that's why he decided to come back. But it's like, you're not getting any younger. You're not going to look any better. You know, I mean, Undertaker, I guess you could make the argument it was only a year. So, you know, if he trained right, he could, you know, get better. But with Flair, it's like you went through a near-death situation. You're 8 years older, you know, than you were, you know, or you know, a number of years older than you were when you were in TNA. You're not getting any younger. You're not going to do any better than you did when you were in your 60s. So just the logic here is, I don't know where it is. Flair is clearly fucked up in the head. And it's not, I'm making fun of him. It's a very sad situation that this is actually happening, that people are encouraging this, that people would go to watch this, that people would, you know, actually take enjoyment out of this, because it's just sad all the way around in many aspects. And it's sad for the wrestling business that this is occurring. And it's sad that this continues to happen, that so much emphasis is put on the older talent that are way past their primes, and not enough emphasis is put on the younger talent, the up-and-comers, and that no new stars are really built in this industry. So there you go. There's my thoughts on that. Let me know what you think about Ric Flair wrestling. I mean, I'm all for legends, like, appearing in the shows and everything like that, but they should be used strategically. They should not be used in wrestling matches where they clearly don't have the physical capability of wrestling anymore. But, like, this is going to be the worst one I think we've ever seen. Like, a wrestler coming back like this and embarrassing themselves. I mean, you saw Hulk Hogan in 2011, but this is probably going to be worse than that. We've seen a lot of bad ones, you know, whether it's Undertaker, Goldberg, Shawn Michaels. But, I mean, this isn't even going to be close to how bad those were. This is going to be just really hard to watch, probably. And, you know, especially a guy that's gone through a near-death experience like that, you know, is going to get back in the ring. Like, what the fuck is going on? So, there you go, people. And I saw the videos he posted with Jay Lethal. Like, it looked really bad. Like, he could hardly do simple moves. He could hardly take bumps. Like, the fact that this guy's going to be in a wrestling ring, I hope they have some ambulances at that show. I hope they have some very trained paramedics, like, right by the ring, because they may need them. I mean, I'm not even making a joke out of this. It's sad to see this. So, there you go, people. There's my thoughts on that.